what's happening around the world
and what's happening here at home. A very good evening. You're watching Primetime News here on Newsfirst, where the people come first. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Naveksha Gunasekara.
and I'm Sandra Ferdinando. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Sri Lanka. China imposes retaliatory 34% tariff on all US imports. New permit system for agricultural land. President's announcement in Anuradhapura.
යලිතා හොඳ සමීක්ෂණයක් කරලා ගොවි ජනතාවට තමන්ගේ ඉඩම බැහැර කරන්න යම් බාධාවන් ඇති කරමින් බලපත්‍රයක් ලබා දෙන්න අපි ලෑස්ති.
Yoshida Rajapaksa and Daisy Forrest indicted. Supreme Court dismisses 53 writ petitions and 6 fundamental rights petitions over local government nominations.
In your top story tonight, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has arrived in Sri Lanka for a 3-day official visit.
Several areas in Sri Lanka made preparations to welcome Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The official welcoming ceremony for the Indian Prime Minister will be held tomorrow morning at Independence Square. During his visit, the Indian Prime Minister is scheduled to hold bilateral discussions with Sri Lankan President Anura Kumara Dissanayake. During the visit, several memoranda of understanding focused on energy connectivity, digitalization, healthcare and multifaceted assistance are expected to be exchanged. India and Sri Lanka will also sign a major defence cooperation pact during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit. The inauguration ceremony for the Sampur solar power plant project will also take place. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will finally travel to Anuradhapura before he wraps up his official visit to Sri Lanka. Prime Minister Modi arrived in Sri Lanka after concluding his Thailand visit to participate in the 6th BIMSTEC summit. The theme of the summit was BIMSTEC, Prosperous, Resilient and Open. Chaired by Thailand, the 6th BIMSTEC summit brought together foreign or external affairs ministers from member states to review progress, finalize key agreements and outline the future course of regional cooperation. The summit brought together leaders from 7 member countries including Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Myanmar, Nepal, Sri Lanka and Thailand.
Newsfirst, main sponsor.
විහිළු නෙමේ ටෝකියෝ සුපර් ඕන වැඩකට සුපර්.
Are you okay? Whose fault is this? Looks like someone didn't use Tokyo Super Bond for tiling. Tokyo Super Bond. Do it right the first time.
In local news, the National Alut Sahal Mangalaya or the New Rice Festival was held this morning at the Anuradhapura Jayasree Mahabodhi under the patronage of President Anura Kumara Dissanayake.
Celebrating its 58th iteration, the National Alut Sahal Mangalaya or the New Rice Festival was themed One Sheaf for a Secure Nation through Agriculture. The event was organized by the Ministry of Agriculture and the Department of Agrarian Services under the guidance of the Chief Incumbent of the Attamastana, Venerable Pallegama Hemarathana Thero. During the ceremony, the first portion of the newly harvested rice from the Maha season was offered to the Jayasree Mahabodhi.
අපි කවුරුත් දන්නවා පහුගිය කාලේ
It is well known that the country has recently faced challenges in rice production and many have been quick to place blame on the government. Whether or not these accusations are true, I urge the President and the Minister of Agriculture to give this issue the serious attention it deserves. The current situation suggests there may be an underlying issue that needs to be addressed. A government cannot succeed without meeting the needs of its people. Given the President and the Minister's strong connection to the farming community, we trust they will take meaningful steps to resolve this crisis.
යොදනවා ඇතයි අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා
අපි ගොවි අම්මා අප්පලාගේ දරුවෝ. ඒ දුක්ඛ දෝමනස්යන් පිළිබඳ හොඳ අවබෝධයක්
We too are children of farmers, and we deeply understand the struggles they face, having experienced them ourselves. This is why I firmly believe that we are the only ones who can lead the way to a future built on trust and sustainable growth for our farmers and our agricultural sector. We are actively addressing these challenges. More than 7 billion rupees have been allocated to irrigation projects in the Anuradhapura district. The key now for our government officials and local leaders is to ensure that these funds are utilized effectively for development before the 31st December. If these funds are not spent, they will return to the treasury. This sets a clear challenge for our officials to put these resources to good use. One of the major issues facing our farmers is land ownership. We are committed to conducting a thorough land survey and issuing permits that not only protect but also empower our farmers. We believe that land should remain in the hands of our farmers, and our land laws have long safeguarded their ownership. We must issue permits in a way that protects these rights for future generations and prevents land from being taken away.
අනාගතයේ ඉඩම් වල හිමිකම ආරක්ෂා වෙන විදියට
පහුගිය පාර්ලිමේන්තු මැතිවරණයේ රැස්වීම වල යනකොට
During the election campaign, Anura asked me if I think I could take on this responsibility. Our president understood my approach and entrusted me with this role, confident that I could handle it. In short, yes, we are fully accountable. Before the Sri Mahabodhi and Lord Buddha, we pledge to dedicate ourselves to ensure the prosperity of this nation and the well-being of our farmers.
ගොවි ජනතාවට අපේ රටට ජය වේවා.
During the event, President Anura Kumara Dissanayake also honoured the farmers for their contributions.
දෙමින් අද මේ විදිහට කරු ජනාධිපතිතුමන් අතින් සම්මාන ලබනවා. මේ සමරු සම්මාන පිරිනැමීම සිදු කරනුයේ.
China announced today that it will impose a 34% tariff on imports of all US products starting from the 10th of April, part of a flurry of retaliatory measures following US President Donald Trump's new tariffs on imports. China said the new tariff matches the rate of the US reciprocal tariff. It criticized Washington's decision to impose the tariff as inconsistent with international trade rules and seriously undermining Chinese interests as well as endangering global economic development and the stability of the production and supply chain. Trump on Wednesday announced that China would be hit with a 34% tariff on top of the 20% he imposed earlier this year, bringing the total new levies to 54%. In more news, meanwhile, two tiny remote Antarctic outposts populated by penguins and seals are among the places targeted by the Trump administration's new tariffs. It is believed the last time people ventured onto one of the islands was in 2016.
US President Donald Trump addressed a group of automotive industry professionals in the Rose Garden at the White House on Wednesday, explaining the latest executive decision. The day was termed Liberation Day by Trump, who signed an executive order imposing a flat 10% tariff on almost all nations and then additional tariffs on those countries that the US accuses of charging high levies on American goods. Trump has targeted roughly 60 countries with customized reciprocal tariffs ranging from 20 to 50%. The baseline 10% tariff will go into effect on Saturday, and any higher tariffs will go into effect on the 9th April. Foreign media outlets provided extensive coverage of these new tariffs. Heard and McDonnell Islands, a territory which sits 4,000 kilometers southwest of Australia, are only accessible via a 7-day boat trip from Perth and haven't been visited by humans in almost a decade. The islands are among the places targeted by the Trump administration's new tariffs. Australian Trade Minister Don Farrell told foreign media that the tariffs were clearly a mistake. The European Union is preparing measures to counter the latest tariffs. The European Union and the United States have the world's largest bilateral trade and investment relationship, making them each other's largest trading partners. French President Emmanuel Macron said the US president's decision was brutal and unfounded. He said investments to come or investments announced in recent weeks should be suspended until things are clarified with the United States. Meanwhile, S&P 500 companies lost a combined $2.4 trillion in stock market value on Wall Street, the biggest one-day loss in value since the coronavirus pandemic sent global markets into tailspin in 2020. The S&P 500 ended down almost 5% after US President Donald Trump's ignited fears of an all-out trade war and a global economic recession. Japanese stocks also sank to their lowest since last August, marking the sharpest weekly drop in 5 years. Markets in mainland China, Taiwan, Hong Kong and Indonesia were closed for public holidays. IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva emphasized that the IMF is currently assessing the macroeconomic implications of these measures, which come at a time of sluggish growth worldwide. Georgieva said, quote-unquote, the announced tariff measures clearly represent a significant risk to the global outlook. She added, quote-unquote, it is important to avoid steps that could further harm the world economy. We appeal to the United States and its trading partners to work constructively to resolve trade tensions and reduce uncertainty. Issuing a statement, the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development said the government reaffirms its strong commitment to deepening economic ties with the US, a long-standing friend and trusted trading partner. The government stands ready to engage with the US administration at the earliest opportunity to explore ways to manage the trade balance in a fair manner. The statement added that Sri Lanka is committed to substantially reduce tariff and non-tariff barriers that hinder trade and investment.
අයිබෝන් විශේෂ පොතක් වෙතයි අවධානය යොමු කරන්නේ ජනාධිපති අනුර කුමාර දිසානායක මහතාගේ ආරාධනයකට අනුව ඉන්දියා අග්‍රාමාත්‍ය නරේන්ද්‍ර මෝදි මහතා මෙන්ම එරට ඉහළ පෙළේ දූත පිරිසක් මේ වන විට දිවයිනට සම්ප්‍රාප්ත වී තිබෙනවා. මීට ටික වෙලාවකට පෙර ඔවුන් කටුනායක අන්තර්ජාතික ගුවන්තොටුපළට ගොඩ බැස්සා. මේ වන විට පිරිස පිළිගැනීමේ උත්සවය පැවැත්වෙමින් තිබෙන්නේ ගුවන්තොටුපළ තුල. ඉන්දියා අග්‍රාමාත්‍ය නරේන්ද්‍ර මෝදි මහතා ඒ වගේම විදේශ කටයුතු අමාත්‍ය ජයශංකර් මහතා ආචාර්ය ජයශංකර් මහතා ඇතුළු ඉහළ පෙළේ දූත පිරිස මේ වන විට පිළිගැනීමේ උත්සවය පැවැත්වෙමින් තිබෙනවා බණ්ඩාරනායක අන්තර්ජාතික ගුවන්තොටුපළේ කටුනායක අන්තර්ජාතික ගුවන්තොටුපළ තුල. ඒ වගේම ශ්‍රී ලාංකික දූත පිරිස ශ්‍රී ලාංකික නියෝජිතයින් මේ පිරිස පිළිගැනීමෙන් අනතුරුව හෙට දිනේ තමයි නිල උත්සවය පැවැත්වෙන්නේ මේ ඉන්දියා අග්‍රාමාත්‍යවරයා ඇතුළු දූත පිරිස පිළිගැනීම සඳහා කොළඹ නිදහස් චතුරස්‍රයේදී. ඒ වගේම ඉන්දියානු අග්‍රාමාත්‍ය නරේන්ද්‍ර මෝදි මහතා සහ ශ්‍රී ලංකා ජනාධිපතිතුමා අතර සාකච්ඡාවක් හෙට පෙරවරුවේ පැවැත්වීමට නියමිතව තිබෙනවා. ඒ වගේම ඉන්දියා දූත පිරිසත් ශ්‍රී ලාංකික දූත පිරිසත් අතර ඉහළ පෙළේ සාකච්ඡාවකුත් පැවැත්වීමට නියමිතව තිබෙනවා. ඒ වගේම උත්සව ගණනාවක් සංවිධානය කොට තිබෙනවා. ඒ වගේම කටයුතු ගණනාවක් සංවිධානය වී තිබෙනවා. ඒ කටයුතු පිළිබඳව හෙට දිනේත් අනිදා දිනේත් අපට වාර්තා කිරීමේ හැකියාව තිබෙනවා. තෙරුණි ප්‍රයාස්
நன்றி அமரசிறி. ஜனாதிபதி அனுரகுமார் திசாநாயக்கவின் அழைப்பை ஏற்று பாரத பிரதமர் உள்ளிட்ட தூதுக்குழுவினர் தற்பொழுது இலங்கையை வந்தடைந்துள்ளனர். சற்று நேரத்துக்கு முன்னர் அவர்கள் பண்டார்நாயக்க சர்வதேச விமான நிலையம் ஊடாக இலங்கையை வந்தடைந்தார்கள். 3 நாள் உத்தியோகபூர்வ விஜயமாக பாரத பிரதமர் விஜயம் அமைந்திருக்கின்றது. பிரதமரை வரவேற்பதற்காக வெளிவிவகார அமைச்சர் விஜித ஹேரத் உள்ளிட்ட குழுவினர் விமான நிலையத்துக்கு சென்றிருக்கின்றார்கள். தற்பொழுது அவர்களை வரவேற்கும் நிகழ்வு விமான நிலையத்தில் இடம்பெற்றுக் கொண்டிருக்கின்றது. இந்திய பிரதமரை வரவேற்கும் உத்தியோகபூர்வ நிகழ்வு நாளை காலை 9 மணிக்கு கொழும்பு சுதந்திர சதுக்கத்தில் இடம்பெறவிருக்கின்றது. அதனை அடுத்து ஜனாதிபதி அனுர்குமார் திசாநாயக்கவும் இந்திய பிரதமர் நரேந்திர மோடிக்கும் இடையிலான இருதரப்பு பேச்சுவார்த்தை இடம்பெற உள்ளது. அதன் பின்னர் உடன்படிக்கைகளும் கைச்சாத்திடப்பட உள்ளன. இதுவாறு பல நிகழ்வுகள் இந்த 3 நாள் விஜயத்தில் இடம்பெற உள்ளமை குறிப்பிடத்தக்கது. தெருணி.
Thank you, Riaz. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in Sri Lanka on a 3-day official visit a short while ago. Now he is undertaking this visit at the invitation of Sri Lankan President Anura Kumara Disanayaka. Reaffirming the theme Friendship of Centuries, Commitment to a Prosperous Future, Prime Minister Modi's visit aims to strengthen the long-standing ties between the two countries. Now there's a comprehensive agenda for the Indian Prime Minister's visit to Sri Lanka, including the signing of Memoranda of Understanding, a discussion between the two leaders of Sri Lanka and India, as well as political leaders in Sri Lanka. They will also visit Anuradhapura, where they are set to pay their respects to the Jayashree Mahabodhi, and thereafter Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to depart the island. Now tomorrow this visit will officially be launched through a welcoming ceremony set to kick off at 9 a.m. at the Independence Square in Colombo. We at Newsfirst are ready to bring you details tomorrow on this as well. Amarashri.
ඉන්දියා අග්‍රාමාත්‍යවරයා ඇතුළු දූත පිරිස පිළිගැනීමේ අවස්ථාවයි ඔබ මේ දකින්නේ. විදේශ කටයුතු අමාත්‍ය විජිත හේරත් මහතා ඇතුළු ශ්‍රී ලාංකික නියෝජිතයින් පිරිස මේ පිරිස පිළිගන්නවා. ඒ වගේම මේ සංචාරයේ සිදුවන්නේ සියවස් මිතුදමක සෞභාග්‍යමත් අනාගතයකට බැඳීමක් යන තේමාව යටතේ. ඒ අනුව මේ අග්‍රාමාත්‍යවරයා ඇතුළු දූත පිරිස හෙට පෙරවරුවේදී කොළඹ නිදහස් චතුරස්‍රයේදී පිළිගැනීම සිදු වෙනවා. ඉන්දියානු අග්‍රාමාත්‍ය නරේන්ද්‍ර මෝදි මහතා ඒ වගේම ජනාධිපති ලේකම් කාර්යාලයේදී ජනාධිපතිතුමා සමග හෙට පෙරවරුවේ සාකච්ඡා පැවැත්වීමට නියමිතයි. ද්විපාර්ශ්වික සාකච්ඡා. ඒ වගේම මේ දූත පිරිසත් නියෝජිතින් පිරිස අතරත් සාකච්ඡා පැවැත්වීමට නියමිතව තිබෙනවා හෙට පෙරවරුවේ. මේ සාකච්ඡාවලදී බලශක්ති, ඩිජිටල්කරණය, ආරක්ෂක, සෞඛ්‍ය යන ක්ෂේත්‍රවලට අදාළව අවබෝධතා ගිවිසුම් සහ ඉන්දියාව සමග ණය ප්‍රතිව්‍යුහගතකරණයට අදාළ ගිවිසුම් හුවමාරු කර ගැනීමට නියමිතව තිබෙනවා. ඉන්දියානු සහයෝගීතාවෙන් සිදු කරන සාම්පූර් සූර්ය විදුලි බලාගාර ව්‍යාපෘතිය ආරම්භ කිරීමත්, උෂ්ණත්වය සහ ආර්ද්‍රතාවය පාලනය කළ හැකි මෙට්‍රික් ටොන් 5000ක ධාරිතාවකින් යුත් දඹුල්ල කුෂිගබඩා සංකීර්ණය එම ව්‍යාපෘතිය පරිත්‍යාගයක් ලෙස ආරම්භ කිරීමක් සිදු වෙනවා. ඒ වගේම ඉන්දියානු පරිත්‍යාගයක් ලෙස ලැබුණු ආගමික ස්ථාන 5000ක වහල මත සූර්යකෝෂ ස්ථාපිත කිරීමේ කටයුත්තත් මේ විවෘත කිරීම සිදු කිරීමට නියමිතව තිබෙනවා. ඒ වගේම ඉන්දියානු අග්‍රාමාත්‍යවරයා අනුරාධපුර ශ්‍රී මහා බෝ සමිඳුන් වැඳ පුදා ගැනීමට නියමිතව තිබෙනවා. ඒ හා සමගාමීවව ඉන්දියානු රජයේ ප්‍රධානයක් ලෙස ස්ථාපිත කරන ලද මහව අනුරාධපුර දුම්රිය සංඥා පද්ධතිය සහ නවීකරණය කරන ලද මහව ඕමන්ත දුම්රිය මාර්ගය නිල වශයෙන් විවෘත කිරීමට සැලසුම් කර තිබෙනවා. මේ ප්‍රධානයක් ලෙස නම් කිරීමට නියමිතව තිබෙනවා. ඉන් අනතුරුව තමයි අප්‍රේල් 6 වෙනිදා පස්වරුවේ නැත්නම් අප්‍රේල් 6 වෙනිදා දිනේ මේ දූත පිරිස දිවෙනින් පිටත් යාමට නියමිතව තිබෙන්නේ. මේ අතරතුර කෙරෙන සියලුම කටයුතු ඔබට සජීවීව විටින් විට වාර්තා කිරීමට සූදානම් සිටිනවා. ඊටාම වැදගත් සංචාරයක් අපේ අසල්වැසි ප්‍රබලම රාජ්‍ය ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ කෙරෙන අග්‍රාමාත්‍යවරයාගේ දෙවනි ශ්‍රී ලංකා සංචාරය. මේ සංචාරය තුළ සිදු කරන කටයුතු රැසක් වාර්තා කිරීමේ සූදානමින් අප පසු වෙනවා.
Continuing in local news, Minister of Industry and Entrepreneurship Development Sunil Handunetti said that measures are underway to address the challenges posed by the US retaliatory tariffs.
ඒක ලොකු බලපෑමක්. ඒක ලොකු ෂොක් එකක් අපිට ඇත්තටම. ඒ කියන්නේ හරියට ගත්තොත් අපි බලාපොරොත්තු නොවෙච්ච දෙයක්. අපි අපේ රටේ
This is a huge shock for us. We honestly did not see this coming. We were working hard to stabilize our economy and our domestic industries, especially the export sector. We had set a goal to increase exports by $3 billion this year. So this is a big setback. The way the tariffs were calculated, particularly with a figure around 44%, feels really unfair. They have divided the trade balance gap in half, but we actually have a trade surplus with the US. Splitting that surplus and imposing a tariff on us doesn't seem right. It doesn't feel fair at all. We don't believe there's any political reason for the US to treat us this way. We are determined to talk it out. The President has already set up a committee to look into this, and we are working to resolve it as quickly as possible. Right now, it is tough for us to bear. We are just starting to stabilize things. About 23% of our apparel exports go to the US, so that is a big deal for us right now. Our first priority is to fix this. We have built strong relationships with our industrialists, and we believe we can work through this by having an open discussion.
අපි ලොකු විශ්වාසයක් හදලා තියෙනවා. අපි මේක සාකච්ඡා කරලා විසඳ ගන්න පුළුවන් වෙයි කියලා.
දැන් හුඟක් අය කියන දෙයක් තමයි අයි මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් වේලස්සනින් කතා කරගන්න බැරි වුණේ.
මෙහෙමයි වේලාසන කතා කරන.
To address it sooner, we would have needed to know about it earlier. Just the day before this situation unfolded, the media asked me about our trade with the US, and I said that we are exporting some unique products there. Now, even those products are being affected. This comes down to political decisions. Trump doesn't always follow through on what he says. We really need to make sure this doesn't get any worse. Our first step is to have a constructive conversation with the US and resolve the issue quickly. We do have the option to file appeals if needed. We are focused on expanding our trade zones. We are staying optimistic and believe that we can work through this situation faster than expected.
Issuing a statement, the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce said that this situation presents an opportune moment for the government to reassess its tariff structure and implement measures to improve trade facilitation and the ease of doing business. The Chamber appreciates the President's initiative to set up a committee to evaluate the impact of the US tariffs and provide solutions to mitigate potential risks to the export sector. It added that given that Sri Lanka is halfway through the IMF Extended Fund Facility program and navigating a tight fiscal space, it is crucial for the country to negotiate down from the high tariff band.
Chairman of the Committee on Public Finance, Dr. Harsha De Silva, commented on the matter.
දැන් මෙතන තාක්ෂණිකව ලොකු ගැටලුවක් තියෙනවා. මොකද සාමාන්‍යයෙන් රටවල් වලට බෙදලා
There is a technical issue we need to address. In the global system, there is no real way to impose sanctions by splitting up countries, especially when it comes to the WTO. Sanctions are usually based on HS codes and tariffs are tied to those. We don't just tax all countries based on these codes. So there are still a lot of questions about how this number 88 came about. The first thing we need to figure out is whether it is accurate. If it is not 88, then what is it? Countries like Sri Lanka face more than just tariffs. We have got non-tariff barriers too. So, what are those? Things like the cess and SSCL, which Sri Lanka put in place between 2004 and 2014, were actually doubled. These measures made it much harder for foreign goods to enter the country. If we were to go to the IMF and say, please reduce this, it is not likely to happen. That is not how Trump operates. He is transactional. I'll give you this, but what are you giving me in return? The problem with the Trump administration's economic approach is that it doesn't really align with what we would consider good economics. Many people are predicting that US economic growth will slow, leading to a global slowdown, and the US prices will rise, which could create big problems. We have already started seeing it. People who moved jobs overseas have been laid off. But if we can find a way to remove the tariffs on HS codes in our trade with the US, we might be able to make a real difference. Still, for lasting change, we need to start tearing down these barriers and building stronger relationships. So where are the American companies here? What have we done to open the door for them? Right now, there isn't a single American company operating in Sri Lanka. We need to think about this both diplomatically and economically. The key takeaway is, unless we change our approach and mindset, we are not going to get out of this situation.
එක පැත්තකින් රාජතාන්ත්‍රිකව බලන්න ඕනේ අනිත් පැත්තෙන් ආර්ථිකව වශයෙන් බලන්න ඕනේ. නමුත් මූලික දේ තමයි අපිට අයිඩියොලොජි එක වෙනස් කරගත්තේ නැත්නම් මේ ප්‍රශ්නෙන් ගැලවීමක් නැහැ.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa's son Yoshita Rajapaksa and his grandmother Desi Forrest were indicted in the presence of Colombo High Court Judge Aditya Patabandige. They were granted bail on two sureties of 500,000 rupees each.
The Attorney General filed indictments against Yoshita Rajapaksa and Desi Forrest before the Colombo High Court under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. 3 indictments were filed, including acquisition of assets using ill-gotten funds. The pre-trial conference has been set for the 30th May.
News First with the people.
General Secretary of the Lanka Tamil Arasukatchi M.A. Sumandiran responded to the recent comments made by United National Party Chairman Vajira Abeyewardene regarding the Batalanda torture chamber.
The Battle of the Commission report.
I have noticed that this incident is being described as something done in self-defense. There is also a report going around questioning whether the Batalanda torture chamber even existed, and it's bringing certain politicians into conversation. Now there is talk of a parliamentary debate on the issue. We were never involved in any of this, and we didn't see it happening ourselves. So we are left to believe that Vajira Abeyewardene must have more insight into the matter.
Battle of the Commission report.
General Secretary of the Frontline Socialist Party, Kumar Gunaratnam, commented on the issue concerning the Batalanda torture chamber.
This
issue cannot simply be resolved through a parliamentary debate. If it is, it will only lead to accusations and counter-accusations. With both sides pointing fingers at each other, it will become an endless cycle of blame. What is truly needed is a comprehensive and transparent investigation into the state-sponsored terrorism, one that can genuinely push Sri Lanka's democratic development forward. This is a significant challenge to the government, and they must take responsibility and confront it. There are thousands of eyewitnesses across the country, and we are ready to bring them forward. The government's duty is to ensure real justice, not to reduce the matter to a commission report or use it for political advantage, as has happened with previous inquiries under Chandrika. We are prepared to offer all support needed to make sure justice is delivered.
The
Battle of the Commission report.
Earl Sugi Pereira, a key witness who testified before the Batalanda Commission, spoke to Newsfirst this morning. Previously, we reported on his abduction and torture for extortion, but he insisted on recounting the crimes in his own voice. Earl Sugi Pereira, also known as Sydney, was abducted on the 23rd of March 1990. He was taken to a house in the Batalanda housing complex where he endured various forms of torture. On some days, he was forced to wear women's clothing and wigs. In his own words, Pereira described the ordeal.
ඌ ගැහුවා ඊට පස්සේ දවල් වෙලාවට එනවා ඩගලස් පීරිස්ගේ ලොකු පුතයි පොඩි පුතයි ඇවිල්ලා අපිට කරාඩි ගහන්න අපෙන් ඉගෙන ගන්න අපිට ගහන්නේ කරාඩි ෂොට් කියලා එහෙම ගහලා ඒව කළා දවසක කෑම දෙනවා බත් එකම කන්න ඕනේ ඉඳුල් කරන්න උඹලා ඉඳුල්ලා දින්න අපි ඇවිල්ලා නැහැ කියන එතන ඉන්න පොලිස් කාර්යය ඌ ඩගලස් පීරිස් එනවා රනිල් ආවා කියනවා ලොක්කා ආවා කියනවා රනිල් ගෑස් කොට් එකේ උණු තුනුත් ඇවිල්ලා අපිට පයින් ගහනවා.
Pereira was held for nearly a month before being released after a ransom was demanded.
අනේ සර් මම ගෙනත් දැම්ම කිව්වා 50000ක් ඒකන හොඳ පෝට් ගන්නත් දැන් මම අන්තිමට ලෙඩේ වුණා ඔය රනිල්ගේ ඔය ඇස්කොට් එකේ ඉන්න ඔක්කොම ගෙන්නන්න මම පෙන්නන්න 30කට වැඩි ඒ මුළු ඇස්කොට් එකම ගේන්න පෙරට්ටුවට මම පෙන්නන්න අනිවාර්යයි දවස් 23ක් තියාගෙන ගැහුවානේ මොකද මිනිස්සු අඳුරන්නේ නැත්තේ මේ ඩග්ලස් පීරිස්ගේ ඔයගේ හිටියපු ආර්සි ඔක්කොම පෙන්නන්න ඕනි මට යුද්ධය හිටු වෙනවනේ සාමාන්‍යයක් වුණත් අපේ ඇස් දෙක පියවෙන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා දකින්න ලැබුණොත් ඔබට පින් සාමාන්‍යයක් කරා.
The house where Pereira was held was later identified before the commission. It was the house B8 in the Batalanda housing complex, adjacent to the residence of Ranil Wickramasinghe's personal security officer, Sudat Chandrasekhara. House B8 was allocated for Douglas Pires' security personnel. Further testimonies may still be called if necessary, should justice be sought by the victims continue to be delayed.
The Bottle of the Commission report.
The local government election Sri Lanka 2025.
The Supreme Court today ordered the dismissal of 53 writ petitions and 6 fundamental rights petitions filed against the rejection of nominations submitted for the local government elections. This is done taking into consideration the preliminary objections raised by the Attorney General.
The People's Struggle Alliance, independent groups, the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress and the Ilanke Tamil Arasu Katchi, along with several other parties and independent groups contesting in this year's local government election, had filed these petitions. The Election Commission and others were named as respondents in these petitions. Meanwhile, the Court of Appeal today ordered the relevant returning officers to re-accept 37 rejected nomination papers related to the local government elections. This order was issued by a Court of Appeal bench comprising Acting President of the Court of Appeal Mohammad Lafar Tahir and KP Fernando after hearing writ petitions filed by recognized political parties and independent groups against the rejection of their nomination papers.
ඔබේ ගමේ නගරේ දේශපාලනයේ හෙට දවස සතිය දිනවල සවස 6:30ට
ඔන්න මෙදා සැරෙත් අවුරුද්දට අපි එනවා
කන්තලේ මධ්‍ය මහාවිද්‍යාලීය ක්‍රීඩාංගණයට අප්‍රේල් 19 දවස පුරා
අවුරුදු සිරියෙන් පුරවන්න ඔයාලත් එන්න
අවුරුදු කුමරා කුමරි බයිසිකල් ධාවන තරගය
උරුපැදීමේ තරගය සහ ජන ක්‍රීඩා රසක් සමග
උරුමෑගල බැජී සංගීතයට ජනප්‍රිය ගායක ගායිකාවන් ගී ගයන
නැගෙනහිරට අවුරුදු
අප්‍රේල් 19 වනදා දවස පුරා
කන්තලේ මැදිවෙදුහල ක්‍රීඩාංගණයේදී.
Your biceps are totally swollen, Honorable. They're always such a menace.
Always a clipper.
There's a student parliament.
Prefect. Tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. on TV1.
මෙදා අවුරුද්දට රට වට වට පිට හැම තැන පිට පිට තියෙන සංගීත ප්‍රසංග ගැන හිත හිත නටනට ඉන්න අතරේ
රටම නලවන රටම නටවන මහා සංගීත ප්‍රසංගය රජ රටින් මුළු රටටම
සිරස වසන්ත උදානය මහා සංගීත ප්‍රසංගය
සංගීත ප්‍රසංගීත රිද්මේ විස්මයක්
තිබෙන්නේ සුපිරි ගීතරු හඬ දිස්නයත් සමග
අප්‍රේල් 6 වෙනිදා රාත්‍රී ගල්නෑව මහවැලි ක්‍රීඩාංගණයේදී
ප්‍රසංගය සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම නොමිලේ
සිරස වසන්ත උදානය මහා සංගීත ප්‍රසංගය
සහයෝගීතාව ශ්‍රී ලංකා මහවැලි අධිකාරිය.
Welcome back. Continuing in more news, the graduation ceremony of the Maharaja Institute of Management, the educational arm of the Capital Maharaja Group, was held yesterday at Stein Studios in Ratmalana. Students of the Maharaja Institute of Management who successfully completed their Diploma in Electronic Media, NVQ5, Diploma in Industrial Management, Certificate in Television and Radio Program Presenting in Sinhala, Certificate in Television and Radio Program Presenting in Tamil, Certificate Course in Dubbing, Certificate Course in Television Production Technology and Certificate Course in Media Sales and Marketing were recognized during this event. The chief guest at the graduation was Vice Chancellor of the University of Kelaniya, Senior Professor Nilanthi De Silva.
You have a responsibility to wider society that I hope that you will bear in mind and make sure that whatever job you do in the future, that you will not abandon the competencies, the skills that you have learned, the knowledge that you have acquired, that you will not set it aside and forget about it because there are too many other challenges in your life.
The ceremony was attended by Chairman and Managing Director Shashi Rajamahendran along with the management of the Capital Maharaja Group, senior academics, graduates, their families and loved ones.
This year, we gather to celebrate a significant milestone as nearly 300 students are completing their academic journey across diverse programs. This growth reflects MIM's unwavering commitment to deliver industry-relevant education that bridges the gap between academic learning and real-world application. Dear students, today marks the culmination of your dedication, perseverance and passion with which you have navigated a challenging academic path, equipping yourselves with the skills and knowledge needed to excel in the media and business industries.
The responsibility of communicators, my friends, goes beyond your Facebook page, your Instagram page and your TikTok page. Goes beyond a channel. What we do, what we say has implications to nations and people. Your responsibility is to the objective truth. Search for the truth by looking for the fact, the facts, the objective truth. That is all our responsibility is.
I expect that at least half of you enter the academia of this country. This country requires a lot of people entering the academia. We require you, the young blood. And students, this is just the beginning of your journey. Stay committed, keep learning, and make a positive impact in the world.
The MIM Gold Award for the Best Student of 2023-2024 was presented to Raini Nimasha Fernando.
Raini Nimasha Fernando of Diploma in Electronic Media, Batch 5. Raini Nimasha Fernando, the winner of the gold medal for the years 2023 and 2024.
The Sri Lanka Law College held its annual awards ceremony for the year 2024.
The The annual awards ceremony for 2024, hosted by the Sri Lanka Law College, recognized students for their outstanding academic performance and significant contributions.
One of the most essential skills a lawyer can possess is the ability to advocate persuasively, to take complex legal principles and present them with clarity, precision, and authority. Advocacy is not just about knowing the law. It's about mastering the art of argument, thinking quickly under pressure, and commanding the attention of a room. It is the public, the common man, the citizenry that you have to serve with diligence.
The event was attended by faculty members, students, alumni, and others.
The inauguration ceremony of the Open Day 2025 at the Open University of Colombo was held this morning.
The Open University of Colombo hosted the inauguration ceremony of Open Day 2025, marking the beginning of an exciting event that welcomed prospective students, faculty, and guests. Open Day 2025 is designed to provide valuable insights into the academic programs of the Open University of Colombo, helping prospective students and the community explore the educational opportunities.
The Alliance Française de Colombo hosted an exhibition celebrating the work of Munasinghe Veda Arachige, a distinguished self-taught artist from Kurunegala, Sri Lanka.
The Alliance Française de Colombo hosted an exhibition yesterday to celebrate the remarkable work of Munasinghe Veda Arachige. The exhibition featured a selection of his past and present works, showcasing the depth and diversity of his artistic journey. In addition to his visual works, a short film was presented, offering an insight to his Eco Art Studio, The Shrubbery, where he continues his creative process. The exhibition is open until the 10th April and visitors can view the works daily from 9 AM to 5 PM at Alliance Française de Colombo.
South Korea's Constitutional Court unanimously removed Yoon Suk-yeol from office today, ending his tumultuous presidency 4 months after he threw the nation into turmoil with an ill-fated declaration of martial law.
지금 시각은 오전 11시 22분입니다. 주문 피청구인 대통령 윤석열을 파면한다.
South Korea's Constitutional Court unanimously voted to remove President Yoon Suk-yeol over his declaration of martial law late last year. As he read the verdict in court, Acting Chief Justice Moon Hyun-bae dismissed each of Yoon's reasons for declaring martial law and said the president had overstepped his authority by deploying troops on the streets of the capital in December.
크다고 인정됩니다. 이에 재판관 전원의 일치된 의견으로 주문을 선고합니다. 탄핵 사건이므로 선고 시각을 확인하겠습니다. 지금 시각은 오전 11시 22분입니다. 주문 피청구인 대통령 윤석열을 파면한다.
President Yoon Suk-yeol's declaration of martial law in December, the first to happen in 45 years and during democratic rule, was particularly triggering and prompted a visceral response. His martial law declaration plunged the country into a constitutional crisis as soldiers clashed with protesters on the streets of the capital Seoul. Yoon maintained that imposing martial law was needed to defend the country from nuclear-armed North Korea and pro-North anti-state forces and protect its free constitutional order, although he cited no specific threats.
This morning, the Constitutional Court of Law declared that President Yoon Suk-yeol be impeached because of this declaration of martial law. Now, this is actually a tough time for the South Koreans because this is not the first time that they're facing such a martial law declaration. This has happened once before in the country. They have a bad history with martial law declaration. So people have battled this martial law declaration once, and they are not ready to do it yet again. So this time, the people's right to democracy has been upheld by the Constitutional Court of Law, where the Court of Law declared that President Yoon Suk-yeol be impeached. So what will happen to South Korea next? What's up next for South Korea? Let's wait and watch. Reporting to you for the Newsfirst team, I am Hashni Pathirana, reporting to you from South Korea.
The decision now sets in motion a race to elect the new president within 60 days as required by the constitution. Prime Minister Han Duck-soo will stay on as acting president until a new leader is sworn in.
And with that, we wrap up news for tonight.
Thank you for watching. Good night.